Imagine a clandestine meeting in the shadowed corners of a medieval castle, where hushed voices speak of a queen's dark secret. Welcome to the Queen's Dark Betrayal, a royal scandal lost to time. We're diving deep into a forgotten chapter of history, where whispers of treason and forbidden love threaten to topple a kingdom. Our story revolves around the Queen, a figure of grace and power. The king, noble but perhaps blind to the intrigues around him, and a cast of suspected conspirators, each with their own motives and secrets. The central mystery: what was the Queen's alleged betrayal, and why was it so dangerous that someone went to extraordinary lengths to erase it from history? Get ready to uncover a tale of passion, power, and political maneuvering, a scandal so explosive it could rewrite the history books. We're about to explore a story that's more scandalous than your average episode of courtly drama. Next, we'll set the stage and explore the historical context of the medieval court. Turning the clock back, understanding the historical context of the medieval court is essential to grasp the magnitude of the Queen's alleged betrayal. The medieval era was a time of stark contrasts, shaped by rigid social hierarchies and the ever-present influence of the Church. Political landscapes were complex webs of alliances and rivalries, where noble families vied for power and influence over the monarch. Kings ruled with divine authority, but their power was often challenged by ambitious vassals and neighboring kingdoms. The monarchy was the linchpin of society, with the king at its head, making decisions that affected every aspect of life, from levying taxes to waging war. Social norms dictated every aspect of life, particularly for women of the court. Queens were expected to be symbols of virtue and piety, their primary duty to produce heirs and maintain the stability of the realm. Infidelity or treason were not just personal failings, but threats to the very foundation of the monarchy. The consequences for such transgressions could be severe, ranging from imprisonment and exile to public execution. Accusations alone could ruin a queen's reputation and jeopardize her position, regardless of their validity. Power struggles were rife within the court, with courtiers, advisors, and even members of the royal family engaging in intricate games to gain favor and influence. These power dynamics often played a significant role in shaping events and could easily be used to manipulate situations or settle scores. The rumors and accusations surrounding the Queen may have been part of a larger political game, orchestrated by rivals seeking to undermine her or the king. By understanding these elements, we can start to appreciate the high-stakes environment in which the Queen's story unfolded. Now that we have the stage set, we will move to talk about the Queen's early life and how she rose to power. Diving into the personal history, the Queen's early life and rise to power provide crucial insights into her character and motivations. Her journey from birth to the throne was marked by significant events and influences that shaped her destiny. Typically born into nobility, her family origins often played a pivotal role in dictating her future prospects. The status and alliances of her family would have significant implications for her marriage and subsequent position in the royal court. Her early education would have been rigorous, focusing on languages, diplomacy, and the arts, preparing her for the complex role she was to assume. Courtly graces and etiquette would be drilled into her from a young age, essential skills for navigating the treacherous waters of royal life. The circumstances of her marriage to the king were often strategic, designed to cement alliances or secure political advantages. Love was rarely a primary consideration. Instead, dynastic concerns took precedence. The marriage contract would have been meticulously negotiated, outlining the terms of the union and the expectations placed upon the Queen. Her entry into the royal court would have been a transformative experience, thrusting her into a world of intrigue, ceremony, and constant scrutiny. Assessing her personality traits, deciphering whether history paints her as ambitious, pious, or perhaps even rebellious is crucial to understanding her actions. Early signs of ambition or discontent might have been subtle but noticeable to those closest to her. Perhaps she displayed a keen interest in politics, a desire for greater autonomy, or a frustration with the limited role afforded to women. These traits could have foreshadowed the events that would later unfold. Analyzing her role in the court reveals her relationships with key advisors and rivals. Allies would have been crucial for navigating the complex web of courtly politics, providing support and counsel in times of need. Rivals, on the other hand, would have sought to undermine her position, spreading rumors and plotting against her. Understanding these relationships is key to unraveling the events that led to the Queen's alleged betrayal. She would have had ladies-in-waiting, trusted confidantes who offered both companionship and strategic advice. The chief advisor to the king might have been a powerful ally or a dangerous adversary, depending on their own ambitions and agendas. As we continue, the emergence of rumors regarding the Queen will begin to shape the narrative, casting a shadow over her carefully constructed world. Turning our attention to the shadows gathering in the court, rumors and whispers begin to circulate, casting doubt on the Queen's conduct. The nature of this gossip often revolved around accusations of infidelity, treasonous plots, or scandalous behavior that defied the strict moral code of the medieval court. Those who dared to spread these rumors typically lurked in the hidden corners of the castle, among disgruntled servants, jealous courtiers, or political rivals seeking to undermine the Queen's influence. Considering the historical context, the plausibility of these rumors hinges on several factors. The Queen's position made her a target for intrigue, and any perceived weakness or misstep could be exploited by her enemies. In a world where power was often secured through alliances and betrayals, gossip served as a potent weapon. The close proximity of the royal court, with its constant competition for favor and influence, made it a fertile ground for speculation and innuendo. The Queen's every move would have been scrutinized, and any deviation from expected norms could have sparked malicious rumors. Subtle signs of discord within the royal court might have fueled the speculation, creating an atmosphere ripe for scandalous whispers. Perhaps there were disagreements between the Queen and the King, or tensions between her supporters and rivals. Maybe she was perceived as being too ambitious, too independent, or too closely aligned with certain factions within the court. These subtle signs of tension could have been interpreted as evidence of deeper problems, fueling the rumors and creating an environment of suspicion. The historical backdrop is crucial to understand the context of those rumors. The whispers, whether true or false, would undoubtedly have far-reaching consequences, forever altering the course of the Queen's life and reign. As the gossip spreads, key players begin their machinations, turning our attention to those implicated in the Queen's alleged indiscretions. The alleged affair had key players and suspects, each with their own unique connection to the Queen and potential motives. Among the figures most frequently mentioned was Lord Harrington, a charming and ambitious courtier known for his close proximity to the Queen. As a trusted member of her inner circle, Harrington often advised the Queen on matters of state and accompanied her on official engagements, inevitably raising eyebrows among watchful observers. Some whispered that their bond extended beyond professional courtesy, suggesting a hidden romance fueled by stolen glances and secret rendezvous. Another name that surfaced was Sir Reginald, a distinguished knight famed for his loyalty and valor. Sir Reginald had served the royal family for many years, earning the Queen's respect and admiration through his unwavering devotion. While there was no concrete evidence to suggest an affair, his unyielding support of the Queen fueled speculation that his feelings might have transcended mere duty. Some claimed that Sir Reginald harbored a secret passion for the Queen, willing to risk everything for a chance at winning her heart. Adding another layer of intrigue, the Queen's own lady-in-waiting, Lady Elena, became a suspect in this unfolding drama. As her closest confidante, Elena was privy to the Queen's innermost thoughts and desires, making her a potential accomplice or even a rival in matters of the heart. Some allege that Elena, driven by jealousy or ambition, might have been conspiring against the queen, spreading rumors to undermine her position and advance her own interests. Others speculated that Elena was secretly in love with the queen herself, creating a complex web of hidden desires and betrayals. Analyzing the evidence, or lack thereof, surrounding these claims, alternative theories emerge that challenge the notion of a scandalous affair. Perhaps the rumors were nothing more than a carefully orchestrated plot by the queen's enemies to discredit her and seize power. Or maybe the alleged indiscretions were simply misinterpretations of innocent gestures, amplified by the gossipy atmosphere of the court. Without concrete proof, it remains difficult to determine the truth behind these accusations. As we piece together the puzzle of the queen's alleged betrayal, the search for concrete evidence intensifies, promising new twists and turns in this captivating tale. Turning our attention to the historical records, the quest for concrete evidence of the queen's dark betrayal encounters numerous obstacles. Surviving documents from the medieval period are often fragmented, incomplete, or subject to interpretation. Letters, diaries, and court records, while valuable, cannot always be taken at face value. The potential for bias or manipulation looms large, as scribes and chroniclers may have had their own agendas, whether to protect the monarchy or tarnish the queen's reputation. The very act of interpreting these documents presents a significant challenge. Medieval handwriting can be difficult to decipher, and the language used often differs significantly from modern English. Furthermore, the cultural context in which these documents were created must be carefully considered. What might seem incriminating today could have been perfectly acceptable, or at least ambiguous, in the medieval court. The absence of certain types of evidence also raises questions. Did someone deliberately destroy or alter records to conceal the truth? It is not uncommon for politically sensitive information to be purged from official archives, leaving historians to rely on circumstantial evidence and conjecture. The reliability of various sources must be carefully assessed. A personal letter from a known enemy of the Queen, for example, might be viewed with skepticism, while an unbiased account from a foreign ambassador could carry more weight. Consider the example of a royal decree seemingly implicating the Queen in treasonous activities. Upon closer inspection, the document may reveal signs of tampering, such as alterations to the text or inconsistencies in the handwriting. Such discrepancies raise doubts about its authenticity and cast a shadow over its validity as evidence. Or perhaps a diary entry alluding to a secret rendezvous can be interpreted in multiple ways, depending on the reader's assumptions and biases. The Queen may have met with someone privately for legitimate reasons, or the rendezvous could have been entirely innocent, misconstrued by a prying observer. As we sift through these historical fragments, the elusive truth behind the Queen's alleged betrayal remains tantalizingly out of reach, leading us to examine the King's response to the swirling rumors and accusations. Turning our attention to the King, his initial reaction to the rumors surrounding his wife is a complex tapestry woven with threads of disbelief, anger, and political calculation. In the face of such scandalous allegations, the King's response would have been shaped by his character, his relationship with the Queen, and the broader political landscape of the time. To surmise how the King might have responded, we must first consider his personality. Was he known for his level-headedness and measured judgment, or was he prone to rash decisions and fits of temper? A king blessed with patience might have initially dismissed the rumors as baseless gossip, ordering a discreet investigation to ascertain the truth. A more volatile ruler, on the other hand, could have reacted with fury, demanding immediate retribution against those who dared to slander his queen. His past behaviors and well-documented patterns would be very telling in this moment. The king's relationship with the queen also played a pivotal role. Were they genuinely in love, or was their marriage purely a matter of political convenience? A king deeply devoted to his wife might have found it difficult to believe the accusations against her, clinging to the hope that they were false. If their union was merely a strategic alliance, however, he might have been more willing to entertain the possibility of her betrayal. Political pressures further complicated the king's response. A king facing internal rebellions or external threats might have been particularly sensitive to any scandal that could undermine his authority. He might have felt compelled to act decisively, even if he had doubts about the queen's guilt, to project an image of strength and control. Conversely, a king secure in his power might have had more leeway to handle the situation with caution and diplomacy. He could have afforded to wait for concrete evidence before taking any drastic measures, avoiding the risk of alienating his allies or provoking further unrest. This consideration is crucial, as the king would surely recognize these details. While direct quotes capturing the king's innermost thoughts may be scarce, historical records offer glimpses into the atmosphere within the court. Diplomatic correspondence, for instance, might reveal the anxiety and uncertainty that gripped the royal household as rumors swirled. Court chronicles might subtly hint at the king's state of mind, portraying him as increasingly withdrawn or preoccupied. As the king grapples with the allegations against his queen, the royal court itself becomes a stage for intrigue. The role of the royal court and key advisors cannot be overstated when examining the king's reaction. These individuals formed the inner circle, wielding considerable influence over the monarch's decisions and actions. Among them, the chief advisor, the royal chaplain, and the head of the royal guard each played distinct roles in shaping the king's response to the scandalous rumors. The chief advisor, often a seasoned politician or a trusted confidant, served as the king's primary source of counsel on matters of state. Their motivations were complex, driven by a desire to maintain stability, advance their own careers, or protect the interests of their faction within the court. In the face of the Queen's scandal, the chief advisor might have urged the king to act decisively to quell any unrest or to proceed with caution to avoid further inflaming the situation. Their advice would have been carefully calculated, weighing the potential consequences for the king, the kingdom, and themselves. The royal chaplain, as the king's spiritual guide, held a unique position of influence. Their motivations were rooted in religious doctrine, moral principles, and the desire to uphold the sanctity of the monarchy. The royal chaplain might have counseled the king to seek divine guidance, to forgive the queen if she was indeed guilty, or to punish her as an example to others. Their advice would have carried significant weight, particularly if the king was deeply religious or morally conflicted. The head of the royal guard, responsible for the king's personal safety and the security of the royal palace, played a more direct role in the unfolding drama. Their motivations were primarily focused on maintaining order, protecting the king from harm, and preventing any potential threats to the throne. The head of the royal guard might have advised the king to increase security measures, to investigate the rumors thoroughly, or to take swift action against anyone suspected of treason. Their perspective would have been shaped by their military background and their unwavering loyalty to the king. The advice offered by these key figures could have either exacerbated or mitigated the crisis. Hawkish advisors, driven by personal ambition or political vendettas, might have seized the opportunity to undermine the queen, pushing the king toward harsh measures. More moderate voices might have advocated for restraint, urging the king to seek a peaceful resolution and to avoid any actions that could destabilize the kingdom. The interplay of these competing agendas within the royal court created a complex and often treacherous environment for the king as he struggled to determine the truth and decide on a course of action. With an understanding of the environment surrounding the king, we can now turn to any formal investigations that were conducted into the Queen's alleged betrayal. Turning now to the process itself, detail any formal investigations that were conducted into the Queen's alleged betrayal. Royal inquiries, if they occurred, would have been significant undertakings involving a range of individuals from court officials to legal experts. The methods used to gather evidence would have varied depending on the severity of the accusations and the political climate. Witnesses might have been called to testify, documents examined, and even physical evidence presented. The fairness of these proceedings would have been questionable, as the king and his advisors held considerable sway over the outcome. Analyzing whether the investigation was a genuine attempt to uncover the truth or a politically motivated conspiracy to discredit the Queen requires careful consideration of the available evidence and the motivations of those involved. Was the investigation conducted impartially, with all parties given a fair opportunity to present their case, or was it a sham designed to achieve a predetermined outcome? The answers to these questions can shed light on the true nature of the proceedings and the extent to which the Queen was a victim of political intrigue. Highlighting any inconsistencies or suspicious circumstances surrounding the investigation is crucial to understanding the full scope of the scandal. Were there any irregularities in the way evidence was gathered or presented? Were there any witnesses who were coerced or silenced? Were there any attempts to manipulate the outcome of the investigation? By examining these details, we can gain a deeper appreciation for the complexities of the case and the challenges of uncovering the truth. With the investigations completed or perhaps deliberately obscured, the Queen would have had to mount a defense against her accusers. Turning our attention now to the Queen, the accusations against her surely prompted a response. Her defense, if any, would have been a critical aspect of this royal scandal. The Queen's strategies for maintaining her innocence and public image would have been multifaceted, involving both public pronouncements and private maneuvers. In a time when reputation was paramount, she may have employed various tactics to sway public opinion in her favor. These efforts might have included commissioning flattering portraits, sponsoring charitable events, or cultivating relationships with influential figures who could vouch for her character. Analyzing the Queen's relationships with allies who supported her and helped her navigate the crisis is crucial to understanding her defense. Loyal courtiers, trusted advisors, or even members of her own family may have rallied to her side, offering counsel, resources, and protection. These allies might have played a key role in countering the accusations against her, providing alternative explanations for her actions or challenging the credibility of her accusers. Their support would have been invaluable in bolstering her position and preserving her reputation. Envision, if you will, the Queen standing before the court, regal and composed despite the storm raging around her. "I stand before you today not as a traitor but as a loyal servant of this kingdom," she might have declared. "The accusations leveled against me are baseless, fueled by envy and malice. I have always acted in the best interests of this realm, and I will not allow my reputation to be tarnished by false whispers and deceitful plots." Or picture her in a more private setting, seeking counsel from a trusted advisor. "What can I do?" she might have lamented. "How can I prove my innocence when my enemies are determined to destroy me?" Her advisor might have replied, "Your Majesty, you must remain strong and steadfast. Rally your allies, present your case to the people, and trust that the truth will ultimately prevail." As the events began to unfold and the Queen made every attempt to defend herself or try to come back from this, we must now examine the turning point and how the scandal reached a point of no return. As the Queen fought tooth and nail, the scandal, nonetheless, was about to reach the point of no return, a moment that would seal her fate irrevocably. Identifying this critical juncture requires a careful examination of the factors that contributed to its inevitability. Sometimes it could be new evidence, such as a discovered letter or a compromising testimony, might have surfaced, shaking the foundations of her defense. This evidence could have been planted or misinterpreted, but its impact was undeniable. Or perhaps a shift in political alliances or an act of political maneuvering, the calculated betrayal by a once loyal ally, might have left her exposed and vulnerable. The king's patience, already strained by the rumors and accusations, might have finally snapped. He may have publicly withdrawn his support, signaling to the court and the kingdom that her fate was sealed. Equally significant could have been a shift in public opinion, the erosion of her popularity, fueled by relentless gossip and propaganda, might have left her isolated and without recourse. The common people, once sympathetic to her plight, may have turned against her, swayed by the whispers of treason and infidelity. Imagine a single event, seemingly insignificant, triggering a cascade of consequences that ultimately led to the Queen's downfall. Picture a tense meeting in the royal court where a key witness suddenly recounted their testimony, or a secret alliance between two powerful nobles being revealed. This moment, however small, could have shattered the Queen's carefully constructed defense, leaving her exposed to the full force of her enemies. The scandal would now be a wildfire, consuming everything in its path. This turning point marked the beginning of the end for the Queen, setting in motion a chain of events that had irreversible consequences for her, the monarchy, and the entire kingdom. With that, formal accusations were now sure to come. With the turning point reached, the official accusations and charges against the Queen were formalized, marking a grim chapter in her story. The specific charges varied depending on the era, but they generally fell into categories with significant legal and political ramifications. Imagine accusations of treason, which could involve conspiring against the king or plotting to overthrow the monarchy. The legal implications were dire, potentially leading to severe punishments, including imprisonment, exile, or execution, and politically, such charges could delegitimize the Queen, making her an enemy of the state and stripping her of all power and influence. Consider also the charge of infidelity or adultery, a betrayal of her marital vows. Depending on the time and place, this could be seen as a crime against the crown, especially if it raised questions about the legitimacy of heirs to the throne. The legal consequences might include annulment of the marriage, loss of property and titles, and even confinement in a convent or similar institution. Politically, such accusations could ruin the Queen's reputation, making her a figure of ridicule and scandal, undermining her moral authority and diminishing her capacity to influence affairs of state. There were also accusations of heresy or witchcraft that were sometimes leveled against queens who were seen as challenging religious norms or wielding unconventional power. These charges had both legal and political dimensions, as they threatened the established religious order and the authority of the Church. The punishments could range from excommunication and public penance to being burned at the stake, and politically, such accusations could rally religious zealots against the Queen, inciting popular unrest and destabilizing the kingdom. The severity of the potential punishments cannot be overstated. For a queen, the loss of her crown and banishment from the court were only the beginning. Her reputation, once a source of power and influence, would be irrevocably tarnished, casting a dark shadow over her legacy for generations to come. Analyzing the legal framework of the time is crucial to understanding the charges against the Queen. Medieval legal systems were often a complex mix of customary law, Roman law, and canon law, with considerable variation from one kingdom to another. The rules governing royal marriages, succession, and treason were often vaguely defined and subject to interpretation, allowing for political considerations to influence legal proceedings. Unfortunately, facsimiles of legal documents or court records that could provide more specific details about the charges against the Queen and the legal proceedings are not available in most cases. This lack of primary source material is a challenge in many historical investigations, as historians must rely on indirect evidence and informed speculation to reconstruct the past. With the charges laid bare, the Queen's fate now hung in the balance, leading her to imprisonment, exile, or worse. As the accusations mounted, the hammer fell, deciding the Queen's ultimate fate, which varied greatly depending on the specific charges against her and the whims of the king and court. Imprisonment was a common outcome, often in a remote castle or convent, effectively removing her from public life and political influence. Consider the Tower of London or similar fortresses, served as both a prison and a symbol of royal authority, where disgraced queens might spend their remaining days isolated from their former lives. Exile was another possible fate, banishing the queen from the kingdom, forcing her to live in a foreign land, stripped of her titles and privileges. This was not only a personal tragedy, but also a political statement, signaling her complete rejection by the crown. Historical accounts of exiled queens often paint a picture of hardship and loneliness as they struggled to adapt to new cultures and navigate unfamiliar political landscapes without the support of their former allies. In the most severe cases, the queen might face execution, typically for charges of treason or conspiracy against the king. The method of execution varied, ranging from beheading to burning at the stake, each carrying its own symbolic weight and intended to serve as a warning to others who might contemplate similar acts of betrayal. The circumstances surrounding her death, if applicable, were often shrouded in secrecy and subject to conflicting accounts, making it difficult to ascertain the true story. The impact of her fate on her family, the royal court, and the kingdom as a whole cannot be overstated. For her children, the queen's disgrace could jeopardize their own positions in the line of succession, casting a shadow over their future prospects. The royal court would be thrown into turmoil as factions aligned for or against the queen, vying for power and influence in the wake of her downfall. And for the kingdom, the scandal could undermine the legitimacy of the monarchy, sparking unrest and challenging the established order. The tragedy of her situation is a stark reminder of the precariousness of power and the vulnerability of even the most exalted figures to the vagaries of fate and the intrigues of court. As we reflect on the Queen's ultimate destiny, we are left to ponder the human cost of political ambition and the enduring legacy of a scandal that shook a kingdom to its core, which leads us to examine the purging of records and the attempts to erase her story from history. Deeper into the shadows, we now turn our attention to the systematic attempts to erase the Queen's story from historical records. The motivations behind this purging were complex, often driven by a desire to protect the monarchy's image, consolidate power, or rewrite history to suit the prevailing political agenda. Suppressing information was achieved through various methods, ranging from the outright destruction of documents to subtle alterations and reinterpretations of existing records. Royal decrees might be issued ordering the removal of the Queen's name from official chronicles, court records, and even personal letters. Libraries and archives could be purged, with offending materials burned or locked away, inaccessible to future generations. Consider, for instance, the fate of Anne Boleyn, whose memory was systematically attacked in England after her execution. Her portraits were removed from public display, her name was expunged from official documents, and efforts were made to portray her as a treacherous figure deserving of her fate. Similarly, in other European courts, disgraced queens faced similar attempts at historical erasure. Their stories were written to emphasize their alleged crimes and justify their removal from power. The role of the monarchy and other powerful figures in controlling the narrative was paramount. Kings and queens, eager to secure their legacies and maintain their authority, often employed teams of scribes, historians, and propagandists to shape public opinion and ensure a favorable portrayal of their reign. These individuals might be tasked with rewriting historical accounts, suppressing dissenting voices, and promoting a sanitized version of events that glossed over any scandals or controversies. Furthermore, powerful advisors, courtiers, and religious officials could also play a role in manipulating the historical record, either to advance their own agendas or to curry favor with the ruling monarch. Examples of altered or missing documents abound in the historical record, offering tantalizing glimpses into the extent of the historical revisionism. Letters might be intercepted and destroyed, diaries altered to remove incriminating passages, and official decrees fabricated to justify certain actions. In some cases, entire archives might be lost or destroyed, depriving historians of valuable primary source material. The absence of these records can make it incredibly difficult to reconstruct the true story of the Queen's betrayal and assess the validity of the accusations against her. As we piece together the fragments of her story, we must remain vigilant in our search for the truth, recognizing that the historical record has been shaped by powerful forces with their own agendas, and as we continue to unearth additional information, we will be able to shed light and understand the aftermath of the scandal and its lasting impacts on the kingdom and the monarchy. Examining the aftermath, the Queen's scandal reverberated through the kingdom and monarchy, leaving a lasting imprint on the stability of the throne, the succession of power, and the public's perception of the royal family. The immediate impact often involved a period of political turmoil, as rival factions within the court sought to exploit the scandal for their own gain. The legitimacy of the king might be questioned, particularly if the Queen was accused of treason or infidelity that cast doubt on the paternity of royal heirs. This uncertainty could spark succession crises, as ambitious relatives or foreign powers vied for control of the throne, leading to civil wars or dynastic conflicts that destabilized the kingdom for years to come. Also, in many cases, the Queen's scandal could trigger political reforms or societal changes that were aimed to reinforce the power. The scandal could also erode public trust in the monarchy, as citizens questioned the moral authority and competence of their rulers. If the Queen was seen as a symbol of virtue and piety, her downfall could shatter the illusion of royal perfection and fuel popular discontent. This could lead to protests, uprisings, or even revolutions, as people demanded greater accountability and transparency from their government. The long-term consequences of the scandal might include a decline in the monarchy's power and influence, as new institutions or ideologies emerged to challenge the old order. Changes on the kingdom and monarchy could be illustrated through many resources in the form of maps or timelines. Before and after, maps could show the territorial losses or gains resulting from wars or treaties triggered by the scandal, while timelines could highlight the key events and political shifts that reshaped the kingdom in the wake of the Queen's disgrace. These visual aids could help viewers understand the complex and far-reaching consequences of the scandal, demonstrating how it transformed the kingdom and the monarchy in profound and lasting ways. Considering the transformations in place in the kingdom and monarchy caused by the scandal, we reflect on how gender and power dynamics play a crucial role in shaping the Queen's scandal. Diving deeper, gender and power dynamics undeniably shaped the contours of the Queen's scandal. Societal expectations placed immense pressure on women, especially those in positions of authority. A queen was expected to be virtuous, submissive, and primarily focused on producing heirs. Any deviation from these norms could be interpreted as a sign of weakness or, worse, a challenge to the established order. The accusations against her, whether true or fabricated, often played on these gendered expectations. Infidelity, treason, or even excessive ambition could be framed as evidence of her unsuitability to rule or exert influence. Moreover, the scandal might have been strategically employed to undermine the Queen's authority and reinforce patriarchal norms. By discrediting her, rivals within the court could weaken her political standing and seize power for themselves. The scandal could also serve as a cautionary tale to other women who dared to challenge male dominance. It reinforced the idea that women in positions of power were inherently vulnerable to accusations and that their reputations could be easily tarnished. Examining powerful women from the medieval period, such as Elena of Aquitaine or Matilda of Tuscany, reveals the challenges they faced in navigating a male-dominated world. Elena, a queen of both France and England, wielded considerable political influence and often defied societal expectations. Matilda, as Countess of Tuscany, commanded armies and played a crucial role in the investiture controversy. Despite their achievements, both women faced criticism and opposition from those who questioned their authority. Their stories highlight the precarious position of women in power and the obstacles they had to overcome to assert their agency. Now, with the role that gender and power had on the Queen's scandal, we can look at the modern interpretations and revisions that historians and scholars have made about the scandal. The Queen's dark betrayal, a royal scandal lost to time. Modern interpretations and revisions. Modern historians and scholars have indeed revisited the Queen's scandal, often challenging the long-held beliefs and offering fresh perspectives. Many of the older accounts were written from a distinctly patriarchal viewpoint, assuming the Queen's guilt or focusing solely on the King's perspective. These narratives frequently lacked a critical examination of the evidence and often relied on gossip and speculation. Analyzing the biases that may have shaped these historical records, it's clear that assumptions about women in power played a significant role. For example, if the Queen was accused of infidelity, historians might have readily accepted this as evidence of her moral failing, without considering the political motivations behind such claims. Similarly, if she was accused of treason, her ambition or assertiveness might have been interpreted as signs of disloyalty, reinforcing the idea that women should not wield significant power. Exploring alternative perspectives, some modern scholars argue that the Queen may have been a victim of political intrigue. Perhaps she was falsely accused by rivals seeking to undermine her influence, or maybe the King himself orchestrated the scandal to consolidate his power. By examining the broader political context and the motivations of those involved, historians can offer a more nuanced understanding of the events. Recent discoveries and research have also shed new light on the Queen's story. For example, the unearthing of previously overlooked letters or documents may provide additional evidence supporting her innocence or revealing the identities of those who may have conspired against her. New archaeological finds or forensic analysis of existing artifacts could also offer valuable insights into the events surrounding the scandal. As historians continue to investigate, we may gain a more complete and accurate picture of what really happened, challenging the traditional narrative and giving the Queen a chance to have her story retold. Now, let's delve deeper into how modern historians are unearthing new evidence that further transforms our understanding of this royal scandal. The Queen's dark betrayal, a royal scandal lost to time, continued. Unearthing new evidence related to the Queen's scandal has become pivotal in reshaping our comprehension of the events and her place within them. The rediscovery of personal correspondences has illuminated facets of the Queen's character, revealing her intellectual pursuits, charitable endeavors, and intricate relationships with key court figures. These personal documents provide a counterpoint to the traditional image of a power-hungry or unfaithful queen, painting a more complete picture of a complex individual navigating the treacherous waters of medieval court life. The impact of these findings is substantial, challenging the dominant historical narrative that has long portrayed the Queen in a negative light. Previously dismissed rumors and accusations are now being scrutinized with greater care, taking into account the political motivations of the accusers and the potential for bias in the historical record. These discoveries have fueled an ongoing debate among historians, with some clinging to the traditional interpretation and others embracing the new evidence as a means of re-evaluating the Queen's legacy. Moreover, the analysis of previously overlooked financial records has unveiled hidden expenditures and transactions that suggest a concerted effort to discredit the Queen. These financial irregularities, combined with other circumstantial evidence, point to a deliberate campaign of disinformation and manipulation designed to undermine her position and tarnish her reputation. The ongoing investigation into these financial dealings promises to uncover even more details about the political machinations behind the scandal and the individuals who may have been involved. Consider, for example, the recent re-examination of the Queen's trial transcripts. Modern forensic linguistics techniques have revealed inconsistencies and contradictions in the testimonies of key witnesses, raising serious doubts about the validity of the charges against her. These linguistic analyses, combined with new historical insights, have prompted some scholars to argue that the Queen may have been the victim of a carefully orchestrated plot to remove her from power. The implications of these revelations are far-reaching, calling into question the very foundations of the traditional narrative and opening up new avenues for historical inquiry. Now we'll explore the political motivations behind the purging of records related to the Queen's scandal. The Queen's dark betrayal, a royal scandal lost to time, continued. The politics behind the purge are now under scrutiny, revealing the motivations of the monarchy in wanting the scandal erased from historical records. Modern historical revisionists are actively challenging this erasure. Diving deeper into the political reasons, it becomes apparent that the monarchy's primary concern was self-preservation. A scandal of this magnitude, involving accusations of infidelity, treason, or both, could severely undermine the legitimacy of the crown. The monarchy depended on maintaining an image of moral authority and stability. Any hint of scandal could incite rebellion or weaken alliances with other kingdoms. Erasing the Queen's story was therefore an act of political expediency designed to protect the monarchy from potential fallout. Furthermore, the specific nature of the accusations against the Queen may have implicated other members of the royal family or powerful figures within the court. Preserving the Queen's story could expose these individuals and their involvement in the scandal, leading to further instability and political turmoil. By purging the records, the monarchy could effectively silence any dissenting voices and control the narrative surrounding the events. Modern historical revisionists are actively working to counter this historical erasure. These scholars, activists, and researchers recognize the importance of preserving the Queen's story, not only to ensure historical accuracy, but also to challenge the patriarchal norms that may have contributed to her downfall. Through meticulous research, analysis of primary sources, and collaboration with other experts, they are piecing together the fragmented remnants of the Queen's life and seeking to restore her rightful place in history. For example, some revisionists are focusing on uncovering and translating previously overlooked or suppressed documents that shed light on the Queen's perspective and experiences. Others are using modern technology, such as digital archives and forensic linguistics, to analyze existing records and identify inconsistencies or biases. Additionally, grassroots movements and historical societies are organizing events, lectures, and exhibitions to raise awareness about the Queen's story and promote a more nuanced understanding of her legacy. These efforts to challenge the historical erasure have not been without their challenges. Some traditional historians remain resistant to reinterpreting the established narrative, while others may lack the resources or expertise to conduct the necessary research. However, the growing interest in the Queen's story and the increasing availability of digital resources are creating new opportunities for collaboration and discovery. The struggle to preserve the Queen's story reflects a broader movement to challenge dominant narratives and amplify marginalized voices in history. As we continue to uncover new evidence and re-evaluate existing sources, we gain a deeper understanding of the complex political forces that shape the Queen's fate. As we consider modern literature inspired by this Queen, we will further understand the lasting impact of this scandal. The Queen's dark betrayal, a royal scandal lost to time, continued. The lasting impact of the scandal rippled through the kingdom, touching the lives of citizens in ways that were both immediate and enduring. While the monarchy sought to erase the Queen from the official record, the scandal lingered in the collective memory of the people, shaping their perceptions of the royal family and the court. The scandal fueled distrust, prompting many to question the integrity of those in power. The whispers and rumors, though suppressed, continued to circulate among the common folk, creating a climate of suspicion and uncertainty. For centuries, the Queen's story remained largely forgotten, buried beneath layers of political maneuvering and historical revisionism. The deliberate purging of records and the suppression of dissenting voices effectively silenced her narrative, relegating her to the shadows of history. It is difficult to pinpoint exactly when the first cracks in the wall of silence began to appear. Perhaps it was through the chance discovery of a forgotten letter, a faded portrait, or a whispered tale passed down through generations. Whatever the catalyst, there has been a renewed interest in this long-lost royal scandal. Several factors contribute to our modern fascination with the Queen's story. First, there is a growing awareness of the importance of historical accuracy and the need to challenge dominant narratives that may be biased or incomplete. Second, there is a recognition of the power of untold stories to shed light on the experiences of marginalized individuals and communities. Third, there is a natural human curiosity about scandal and intrigue, particularly when it involves figures of power and authority. The Queen's scandal has also inspired modern literature, offering writers a canvas to explore themes of love, betrayal, ambition, and redemption. Novels, plays, and poems have reimagined the Queen's life, giving her a voice and allowing her to tell her side of the story. These works often serve as a form of historical revisionism, challenging traditional interpretations and offering new perspectives on the events surrounding the scandal. These fictionalized accounts resonate with modern readers because they tap into universal themes of injustice, power, and the search for truth. As we continue to explore this historical mystery, we must acknowledge the lasting impact of the scandal on both the kingdom and the collective consciousness. The attempt to erase the Queen's story ultimately failed, as her narrative has re-emerged to challenge the established order and force us to reconsider the complexities of power, gender, and historical truth. With the scandal's impact still resonating, we delve into what unanswered questions and lingering mysteries remain. Moving forward, the enduring mystery presents us with several unanswered questions and lingering mysteries surrounding the Queen's scandal. Despite modern investigations and renewed interest, significant gaps remain in our understanding of the complete truth. One of the primary challenges lies in the limited and potentially biased historical records available. Documents were often written by individuals with specific agendas, making it difficult to discern fact from fiction. The purging of records further compounds this issue, leaving historians to piece together fragments of information from disparate sources. The precise nature of the Queen's alleged betrayal remains uncertain. Was she truly guilty of infidelity or treason, or was she a victim of political intrigue? The identities and motivations of key players in the scandal are also shrouded in mystery. Who were her true allies and enemies, and what were their roles in shaping the events that unfolded? The investigation itself raises many questions. Was it a genuine attempt to uncover the truth, or was it a politically motivated conspiracy to discredit the Queen? The answers to these questions are elusive, requiring a careful evaluation of the available evidence and a willingness to consider alternative theories. Future discoveries may shed new light on the Queen's story. Advances in technology, such as digital imaging and forensic analysis, could reveal hidden details within existing documents. The chance discovery of previously unknown letters, diaries, or court records could also offer new insights into the events surrounding the scandal. As we continue to explore this historical mystery, it is essential to approach the available evidence with a critical and open mind. We should consider multiple perspectives and be willing to challenge traditional narratives that may be based on incomplete or biased information. I encourage you to consider your own interpretations of the available evidence and to engage in further research. Explore the historical context, examine the motivations of the key players, and weigh the plausibility of different theories. The Queen's scandal is a complex puzzle with many missing pieces. By piecing together the available evidence and considering alternative perspectives, we can gain a deeper understanding of this long-lost royal scandal and its lasting impact on history. We've looked at the mystery that remains, but what lessons can be gleaned from its echoes in modern scandals? Turning to modern times, the echoes of the Queen's scandal resonate through numerous contemporary political and royal controversies. Enduring themes of power, betrayal, and cover-up common in the Queen's story continue to surface, reminding us that human nature and the dynamics of power remain consistent across centuries. Consider the Watergate scandal, where a president's attempt to cover up illegal activities led to his downfall, reflecting the same abuse of power and manipulation of truth seen in the Queen's era. Similarly, the Profumo affair in the 1960s, a British political scandal involving a government minister and a young model, mirrors aspects of the Queen's alleged infidelity and the ensuing political fallout. These scandals, like the Queen's, involved key figures in positions of power, hidden agendas, and attempts to control the narrative. Analyzing these modern scandals through the lens of the Queen's story provides valuable insights into human behavior and the cyclical nature of history. We see how those in power may attempt to manipulate events to their advantage, how quickly rumors and accusations can spread, and how public opinion can be swayed by carefully crafted narratives. The media's role in uncovering and disseminating information has evolved significantly, yet the underlying themes of deceit and betrayal remain constant. For example, the more recent scandal involving the British royal family and accusations of misconduct highlights how the dynamics of power, privilege, and public perception continue to shape the narrative. These events, while occurring in vastly different times, share common threads with the Queen's scandal, illustrating the timeless nature of these conflicts. They serve as reminders of the importance of transparency, accountability, and the pursuit of truth in all matters of public interest. The parallels between the Queen's scandal and modern controversies underscore the enduring relevance of history. By studying these events, we can gain a deeper appreciation for the complexities of human nature, the dynamics of power, and the importance of upholding ethical standards in positions of authority. The lessons learned from the past can inform our understanding of the present and guide our actions in the future. As we consider the echoes of history, we also recognize the need to preserve the past, which leads us naturally to a discussion about the importance of historical accuracy. Transitioning our focus now, it's crucial to emphasize the significance of preserving the past through historical accuracy. Ensuring that history is not forgotten or distorted is a responsibility shared by historians, researchers, and storytellers alike. Historical accuracy serves as a cornerstone for understanding our present and shaping our future, as it provides a factual foundation upon which we build our knowledge and make informed decisions. Challenging biased or incomplete narratives is essential to achieving a comprehensive understanding of history. All too often, historical accounts are influenced by the perspectives and agendas of those in power, leading to skewed portrayals of the past. By critically examining these narratives, we can uncover hidden truths, amplify marginalized voices, and foster a more inclusive and equitable understanding of history. This includes scrutinizing sources, questioning dominant interpretations, and seeking out alternative perspectives. Historians play a vital role in preserving historical accuracy through rigorous research and analysis. Their work involves sifting through vast amounts of evidence, evaluating sources for reliability, and constructing narratives that are grounded in fact. Researchers contribute by uncovering new evidence and insights that can challenge existing interpretations and shed light on previously unknown aspects of the past. Storytellers, including writers, filmmakers, and artists, have the power to bring history to life for a wider audience. By crafting compelling narratives that are rooted in historical accuracy, they can engage viewers emotionally and intellectually, fostering a deeper appreciation for the complexities of the past. Supporting efforts to uncover and share diverse historical perspectives is crucial for enriching our understanding of history. This includes funding historical archives, museums, and research institutions that are dedicated to preserving and promoting historical knowledge. It also involves supporting educational initiatives that encourage critical thinking and historical inquiry. Moreover, it requires amplifying the voices of marginalized communities and ensuring that their stories are included in the historical record. By embracing diverse perspectives, we can create a more complete and nuanced understanding of the past. Historical archives and preservation projects serve as invaluable resources for preserving historical accuracy. These institutions safeguard historical documents, artifacts, and other materials that provide tangible connections to the past. They also employ skilled professionals who are trained in the art of preserving and interpreting historical evidence. By supporting these institutions, we can ensure that future generations have access to the resources they need to understand their history, as preserving historical accuracy guarantees the truth is available for the future. As we look back and appreciate those who worked tirelessly to preserve the past, it causes us to look to the Queen's legacy next and evaluate who she was. Turning our attention to the heart of the matter, the Queen's legacy, villain or victim. Considering the various interpretations and perspectives presented throughout the video, the question remains, how should she be remembered, and should she be remembered at all? Was she a calculating villain driven by ambition and a thirst for power, who manipulated those around her to achieve her own selfish ends? Or was she a victim of circumstance, caught in a web of political intrigue and personal betrayals, who was unfairly maligned by her enemies? Perhaps she was a more complex figure, a woman who possessed both strengths and weaknesses, who made difficult choices in a challenging environment, and whose actions were shaped by the prevailing norms and expectations of her time. We must analyze the evidence objectively, considering the motivations of those who accused her, the reliability of the sources, and the potential biases that may have influenced the historical record. Was there a genuine threat to the monarchy, or was the Queen simply a convenient scapegoat for the king's political rivals? Did she act out of malice or self-preservation? Encouraging viewers to form their own opinions based on the available evidence is important. There is no single, definitive answer to the question of the Queen's legacy. It is up to each individual to weigh the evidence, consider the various perspectives, and arrive at their own informed judgment, and consider the facts we have looked at through this video. Using thought-provoking questions and imagery to stimulate reflection should be a focal point. What does the Queen's story tell us about the nature of power, the role of women in history, and the dangers of unchecked ambition? How do our own biases and assumptions shape our understanding of the past? What can we learn from the Queen's experience that can help us navigate the complexities of the present? As we seek answers to those questions, we come to our conclusion. In summarizing the complex narrative we have explored, the Queen's dark betrayal, a royal scandal lost to time, it's clear that the central mystery surrounding the Queen's alleged actions remains shrouded in speculation and debate. Numerous theories have emerged, painting her as either a manipulative villain, a hapless victim, or a nuanced figure shaped by the political and social constraints of her era. Each perspective offers a unique lens through which to view her story, yet none provide a definitive answer. As we have seen, her story is truly a royal scandal lost to time. The enduring power of secrets and the complexities of history continue to captivate and challenge us. The Queen's story compels us to reflect on the nature of power, the role of women in historical narratives, and the ever-present potential for manipulation and betrayal within royal courts. We encourage you to ponder these themes and consider how they resonate with contemporary issues of power, gender, and truth. History is never truly in the past because it affects the present. We invite you to share your thoughts and interpretations in the comments below. Who do you believe the Queen truly was? What lessons can we draw from her story? Which aspects of the scandal intrigued you the most? Your insights are invaluable as we continue to unravel the mysteries of the past. If you enjoyed this exploration of the Queen's dark betrayal and are eager to delve into more captivating historical enigmas, we encourage you to subscribe to our channel. By subscribing, you will stay updated on our latest investigations into forgotten scandals, royal intrigues, and hidden histories. Additionally, we welcome your suggestions for future topics of exploration. Is there a particular historical figure, event, or mystery that you would like us to investigate? Share your ideas in the comments and we will consider them for our upcoming videos. We will do our best to bring that to light. As we conclude this journey into the shadows of the medieval court, let us remember the enduring power of history to inform, challenge, and inspire. Thank you for joining us. End with a visually compelling image or animation that encapsulates the intrigue and drama of the Queen's story.